Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Friday, July the 30th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly wrap up and the monthly wrap up. This video, just like all the other videos, are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine. So let's just take a quick peek here and see what's been going on. Of course, just to remind you, even if it's the last day of the month, but doesn't matter. Don't risk any more than you're willing to lose on a particular trade. Set your stop losses accordingly. And so for the week, all the gaps have filled. And you can see here we're 153 pips above that weekly open. 81 off the high and 165 off the low. As we take a look here at the opening range, it's really interesting. The opening range for the week actually opened just outside of the opening range for the month. Price shot through it. Then on the next day, you see we crisscrossed the monthly open and we took off to the north. And today we're having a little pullback. We're right around the 3,900 area. The double low. You can see we took out that weekly pivot there. I'm sorry, daily pivot. But for the year, 258 pips above the open. And if we do pop up the monthly chart, you can see we barely missed the monthly pivot. The day's not over. Anything could happen, right? And you can see for the month, we dipped back down below that yearly open and then pushed it right back up. And one of the things is, if you look to the left, you can see we were in those wick zones, and then right about here, you can see we cut through these wick zones, and then right here, we cut through that other wick zone for the month. So right here on the month, that was all last month. And you can see here on this month, we didn't even quite make it to the wick zones. And then you look here, and this was back in 2018. But if you just look back to the beginning of the year, you see we got into that wick zone, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and then price pushed up and out of those wick zones. And that's all on the monthly. And you can see here on the weekly, we missed the pivot. We took out the pivot from the previous. Back to the daily. Inside bar, those of you trade it, we had that daily inside bar, I believe it was last Friday. You see we broke out, gave you a second opportunity on Tuesday. We broke out on Wednesday of the weekly inside bar, gave you a second opportunity on Thursday. And you see here on Friday, we're right around that the weekly high from that inside bar of 3 weeks ago. For the inside bar traders. 93 pips on the daily range. You can see we barely broke out of yesterday's high, and then we came right back through the wick zone again. Oh, and I guess traders, if you want to know where to get the indicators, usually you can go to Kreslik.com and download the MT4 motherloads I put there, and it also gives you instructions on how to get the donationals, or you can go to my Facebook group, Never Lose Again, and you can have instructions there. Or, if you just can't seem to figure it out, if you send an email, usually I will send you the motherload via email. But I prefer you to download it because I don't want to get bombarded by emails for those indicators that I upload. Not enough time in the day. And here we go. We had some red rat action. I think there was enough room here. Yeah, was over 40 pips. There was technically enough room to trade that red rat zone. Now the green rats look like they want to feast. On the pivot, we took out that daily pivot. Oh, and somebody was asking about, this is the indicator, the SDK pivots indicator that I modified. One of the modifications is I put in the future pivot point. I just like to know where, if the end of the day was right now, where would the pivot be? Can use it for a bias. And speaking of the rest of the pivots, you can see we missed yesterday's pivot. So July might wind up with 2 missed pivots. We had one 6 days ago and then yesterday's. So we'll see what happens at that action. On the weekly, we missed it last week, but we took it out. We missed it this week, so who knows, maybe next week we'll take it out. Even though the day's not over, anything can happen, right? And if we look at the monthly, we did take out the monthly pivot. So those of you playing the pivots, using it for bias, paid off once again. Wick zone, in and out of that upper wick zone a couple of times, poked its head out barely there. And you can see here, there really wasn't a lower wick zone because open and low were almost one and the same. Looking at the ranges here on the week, we're at the 83 percentile at 246 pips. High minus previous high, we had a breakout of 196 pips. No breakout on the low side. And the high minus the close, 86 pips. So red rats were paid off and close minus lows 160. So green rats were paid off on the weekly. In fact, Mighty One sent me a chart. He's trading a stock, and he's like, "Come on, weekly wick zone or weekly rat zone, don't fail me now." It looks like he might be up about 10% or so. So hats off to the Mighty One on that trade. And let's see, we switch over to the monthly. We've got a high minus low range, only 411, which is below the average here over the last 12 months, 33 percentile. High minus previous high didn't work, but the previous low minus the low, 214. So anybody taking that breakout of the previous month's low, paid off. But you can see last month there really wasn't a breakout. They actually broke out, but not much. So neither one of those trades paid it off well. But the breaking out of the wick zone back into the candle body definitely paid out, just like it did this case right here. So that's the wick zone, breaking out of the wick zone. Price doesn't like staying in the wick zone. And for the month, 85 pips off the high. So red rats were paid off, and close minus low 326. So green rats definitely feasted if you're trading those higher time frames. Walmart lines, once again, just trading at the H1 with the H1 candle color at the line, paid off. And just to show you something here, a couple of days ago when I made the video, I was talking about these return bars. And right here at this level, I was looking for price to return. And in Walmart, he likes to play the halfway point, which is where this dot is. And you can see it got just about to that level. And I think he took his profit there. You see it returned, touched it again, and then shot off. Well, then look what happened right here. We had some, actually, there really wasn't a return bar per se. But we do have one right here, this big red bar. But we still have this one, so there was still some pull to the south. You see, it made it what people would call a double top and then fell out. I mean, you can just do a holo trade. Whoops, just moved my off of this double top here. Just take the highest H1 open and just trade right through it to the south side. It crossed the daily open. We've talked about, the daily open cross or just playing the buy zone there. Buy zone trades, buy zone, short zone. They paid off. We talked about the 40 launch pad. You can see right here, price dipped down this hour, then went right back up. So there was an opportunity there to trade the 40 launch. Here, it didn't hold, but if you notice something, right here on the H1, you see we had the first tap and then the second tap. Remember, Walmart, like even on M5, always wants to do that second touch. If we drop all the way down to M1 and we look at that price action here, you can see how many times it tried, moved up, and then boom, went right through at that time. And then here on the double O, you see we had a couple attempts, not much, but then on this next attempt here, price fell through. And just playing off of the three balls on the M1 or M5, you can look for those. And that's pretty much, ways to trade it. And if you're wondering what these dots are, it's just called price action high low indicator, and it just tells you what the bias is. And let's move on to one more chart here. Just looking at the M1 lowest high, highest low. And actually I should put the mid dots on here. So I don't have it on there. I should put the mid dots because these are dynamic, but with the mid dots, it'll give you a history and you can see where the lowest high dots and highest low dots were. I might do that for you guys next week. Guys, gals, and non-binary traders, that is. Let me make sure I'm politically correct. Don't want to get banned for not being inclusive and recognizing the diversity. But anyway, you can see here on the M5 chart, price dropped down, put in a 2-ball, near the 3-ball, just taking the trade off of the 95. And would have paid off in a few pips depending on how long you wanted to wait on that trade. And that's pretty much it. I think we're going to do some more how to analyze charts. I think I'll talk about some fib retraces because I know there's some people that look at that and mid dots, that's the 50% retrace level. So we'll talk about that and a few others because some people like it. And I use my TRO dynamic fibs SR indicator that'll plot it. It's super versatile. You can use it on whatever time frame. I used to use it on the weekly a lot, trading these more swing trades rather than intraday trades, and definitely good for using it for a bias also. I don't think there was any other questions out there. So that's it for the week. I hope you had a profitable week. That's it for the month. I definitely hope you finished in the green for the month. Hope you have a fun, safe weekend. And depending on where you live, I hope you're staying cool because some places are in triple digits. So that's pretty much it. So when you come back next month and you're sitting down at your trading platform, always remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.